In the shadowed silence of space, beyond the pale blue aura of Earth, floated the Vanguard Station, a sentinel among the stars. Within its command center, Commander Alexander Kane stood as a figure carved from resolve, his gaze fixed on the planet below, a swirl of clouds and continents that had known peace and turmoil in equal measure. Today, it faced an unprecedented threat. Another wave from the depths of space, a Mecron armada cutting a swath towards Earth with intentions ominously clear, to wipe us out from existence. Kane's reflection in the glass was that of a man who had weathered storms, both terrestrial and celestial. His eyes, steel gray and sharp, had witnessed the rise and fall of empires among the stars. Yet the news of the approaching armada had ignited a new fire within him, a determination that burned brighter than the fusion cores powering the station. "Commander," a voice broke the silence, crisp and urgent. It belonged to Captain Harriet Zhao, Vanguard's second-in-command, her presence marked by an air of competence that rivaled Kane's own. "The Council has made its decision. You're to command the Defiance." Kane turned, his expression unreadable. "Then we have no time to lose," he said, the weight of his new command settling on his shoulders like a mantle. "Earth will not face this threat alone. Assemble the crew. Priority 1. Zhao nodded, her demeanor unwavering. "I have the short list, top of their fields, the best we can offer." Among the names was Dr. Eliza Cortez, a maverick in the field of energy weapons, her genius only matched by her reputation for defying convention. Then there was Lieutenant Marcus Flynn, a tactician with a penchant for the unpredictable, his strategies as unconventional as they were effective. As Kane and Zhao moved through the corridors of Vanguard, their steps were purposeful, echoing in the quiet. The station, usually abuzz with activity, felt suspended in time, its inhabitants holding their breath as if the very air was charged with the gravity of the impending confrontation. Their first stop was the lab where Cortez was engrossed in her latest project, sparks flying from a device that hummed with potential. She looked up, her eyes alight with the thrill of discovery. "Cortez, you're with us," Kane announced, foregoing formalities. "Your expertise is needed on the Defiance." Cortez's response was a grin, sharp and confident. "About time you realize that, Commander. Let's make some aliens regret crossing paths with Earth." The trio's next destination was the Tactical Simulations Room, where Flynn was orchestrating a virtual skirmish, his focus unbroken until Kane's shadow fell over the console. "Flynn, your unconventional tactics have earned you a spot on the Defiance. Ready to put them to the test for real?" Kane's tone was an unspoken challenge, one that Flynn met with a smirk. "Sir, I thought you'd never ask. Let's show these aliens that humans play by a different set of rules." With the crew beginning to assemble, the atmosphere within Vanguard shifted, a palpable sense of purpose uniting those chosen. They were not merely soldiers and scientists. They were humanity's vanguard, the spear tip of its will to survive and prevail. The Defiance, docked and dormant, awaited its crew, a behemoth of metal and might. It was more than a ship. It was a statement of humanity's refusal to bow to the darkness encroaching upon their world. As Kane boarded, he felt the weight of centuries of human aspiration and defiance, a legacy that he carried into the heart of the vessel. The Defiance came to life around him, systems awakening with a symphony of beeps and hums, its heart beating in sync with those who would command her. Kane's first address to his assembled crew was brief, his words cutting through the air with precision. "This ship, this mission is humanity's response to a threat unlike any we've faced. We carry with us the hope of our planet, the resolve to protect our home. We are the Defiance, and we will not falter." As the Defiance disengaged from Vanguard, setting a course towards the Mecron, Earth receded into the distance, a blue marble veiled in shadow. Yet, aboard the ship, a light kindled, the light of human spirit, unbreakable and fierce. As Defiance cut a swift path through the cosmos, its belly a hive of preparation and resolve, Commander Kane knew that the success of their mission hinged not just on the mettle and might of the ship, but on the mettle and minds of those aboard. The assembly of his crew was a task approached with the precision of a chess master positioning his pieces, each selected for their capability to turn the tide of an uncertain war. Dr. Eliza Cortez, already aboard and buzzing with the energy of a reactor on the brink of breakthrough, was the first to present her contribution to their cause. In the ship's main lab, a room aglow with the soft light of holograms and the steady hum of advanced machinery, she unveiled her latest invention, a plasma shield designed to render Defiance nigh invulnerable to the alien armada's weaponry. "This," Cortez began, her voice a mix of pride and excitement, "is the key to evening the playing field." She gestured towards the shimmering field of energy that danced like the aurora borealis contained within a sphere of her making. "Based on their initial assault patterns and energy signatures, I've tailored this shield to absorb and dissipate their firepower." Kane, alongside Zhao and a handful of engineering minds, watched as Cortez demonstrated the shield's capabilities. It was an impressive display, beams of simulated alien energy harmlessly disintegrating against the plasma barrier. "Seems like you've outdone yourself, Cortez," Kane remarked, the corners of his mouth betraying a hint of a smile. Cortez, arms crossed, met his praise with a nod. "Just doing my part, Commander. Besides, I'm not about to let some extraterrestrial bullies outdo human ingenuity." The camaraderie was brief as attention turned to the tactical approach, a matter Lieutenant Marcus Flynn was more than eager to address. The crew gathered in the strategic planning room, a stark contrast to the lab with its maps of star systems and potential battle zones projected in the air. Flynn stepped forward, his demeanor that of a man who thrived in the unpredictable chaos of combat. "If we're to stand any chance, we can't play by their rules. We don't have their numbers, but we have something better: creativity and the element of surprise." He laid out his proposal for guerrilla tactics in space, a series of hit-and-run attacks designed to harry the alien fleet, targeting supply lines and isolated ships. It's about making them second-guess their every move, keeping them off balance while we chip away at their strength. Kane, leaning against the holographic display table, considered Flynn's plan. "It's risky," he conceded, "but conventional strategies won't win this war. We'll need every advantage we can muster." Zhao, ever the voice of reason, added, "And it plays to our strengths. The Defiance was built for speed and agility. With Cortez's shield and Flynn's tactics, we become more than a thorn in their side." The room buzzed with a mixture of anxiety and excitement as the crew debated positions and responsibilities. Each member knew the part they played was crucial to the survival of not just themselves, but of Earth itself. Engineers, pilots, medics, and soldiers, each was handpicked by Kane for their expertise and their willingness to face the unknown. As the meeting dispersed, the air was thick with the weight of what lay ahead. Yet beneath it all, there was an undercurrent of determination, a shared resolve that unified the crew of the Defiance. They were not just representatives of Earth's last stand, they were the embodiment of human resilience, ingenuity, and spirit. Kane watched his crew, a group brought together by circumstance and necessity, each ready to play their part in the coming conflict. In the silence of space, aboard the Defiance, humanity's hope was taking shape, fortified by the brilliance of minds like Cortez and the strategic cunning of soldiers like Flynn. The cold expanse of space near Earth had never felt more hostile than in the moments before the first strike. The alien armada, a phalanx of ships whose designs were as alien to the human eye as their intentions, sliced through the void, their approach silent, yet screaming of impending doom. On board the Defiance, tension knitted the brows of the crew, a reflection of the gravity of their situation. Commander Kane stood at the forefront, his gaze locked on the main viewport, where the first signs of the assault materialized as streaks of destructive energy raining down towards Earth. The planet's defense systems, a network of satellites and ground-based cannons, lit up in a desperate bid to thwart the onslaught. "Report!" Kane's voice cut through the tense silence of the bridge, a command that snapped everyone to focus. "Our defenses are holding, but just barely," Zhao replied, her eyes flicking across the data on her screen. "Casualties are mounting. The alien weapons are incredibly efficient." It was then that the Armada dispatched a vanguard of their own, a sleek ship bristling with weaponry, breaking formation to test the Defiance's mettle. Kane's jaw tightened. "This is our chance to show them what humanity is made of. Cortez, is the plasma shield ready?" Cortez, her usual irreverence subdued by the moment, nodded. "It's now or never. Let's give them a warm welcome." The crew of the Defiance watched as the scout ship advanced, its weapons charging for a strike. Kane gave the order, and the Defiance surged forward, Cortez's plasma shield flaring to life around them, a vibrant barrier against the cold darkness. The alien ship's weapons fired, beams of concentrated energy that had raised Earth's defenses only moments before. They hit the plasma shield, a spectacle of light and power. But instead of devastating destruction, the positron beams dissipated, absorbed by the shield's glowing embrace. A murmur of disbelief and awe swept through the bridge. Humanity had not just survived, it had countered with technology the aliens had not anticipated. "Now, Flynn, your turn," Kane said, the hint of a smirk on his lips. Flynn, ever ready, had already set his plan into motion. "Dropping ghost drones now. Let's see how they like a taste of their own confusion." The Defiance deployed a swarm of drones, each mirroring the ship's signature on sensors, creating a confusing array of targets. As the alien ship focused on the decoys, the Defiance moved into position, silent and deadly as a shadow. "With pleasure," Cortez said, activating the ship's main cannon, now supercharged by the same technology powering the shield. The cannon fired, a lance of pure energy that pierced the scout ship's armor as if it were paper, igniting its core in a silent, brilliant explosion that faded into the void. Cheers erupted on the bridge, a release of tension and a celebration of a victory, however small against the looming threat of the Armada. Kane allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before turning to his crew. "This is just the beginning. We've shown them we can hit back. Now we need to be ready for their response. Prepare for evasive maneuvers, and keep those shields up. This war is far from over." As the crew scrambled to follow his orders, Kane's gaze returned to the viewport, where the remnants of the alien scout drifted like a warning, the exact type of ship that 300 years prior wiped out half of our planet. Humanity had answered, not with despair but with defiance, a testament to their resilience and ingenuity. In the aftermath of their unexpected victory, the Defiance became more than a ship. It became a symbol, a beacon of hope in humanity's darkest hour, casting its light far beyond the cold reaches of space, touching the hearts and minds of billions on Earth. The destruction of the alien ship, a David versus Goliath tale told in the void between stars, reverberated through every city, every home, rallying the spirit of a beleaguered planet. Commander Kane, aware of the power of this moment, prepared to broadcast a message to the world. The bridge of the Defiance served as his stage, the crew his silent audience as they worked, their attention split between their duties and the significance of the address they were about to witness. "People of Earth," Kane began, his voice steady and clear, transmitted across every available channel. "Today, we have proven that we are not defenseless against the threats that seek to extinguish our existence. Aboard the Defiance, we have faced the enemy head-on and emerged victorious. But this is not just our victory, it is yours." As Kane spoke, images of the Defiance's engagement with the alien scout ship played out on screens worldwide, a visual testament to human ingenuity and courage. The plasma shield absorbing the alien fire, the ghost drones sowing confusion, and the decisive strike that obliterated the enemy craft. "This victory," Kane continued, "is a testament to what we can achieve when we stand together, united by a common cause. It is a call to arms, an invitation to fight not just for survival, but for our right to exist, to thrive. I urge you, people of Earth, to rally, to organize, and to prepare. The battle ahead will be challenging, but together, there is nothing we cannot overcome." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the globe, from the ruins of cities still smoldering from the initial alien attacks to the far-flung outposts of human colonization, a new resolve took hold. Resistance groups, some formed in the chaos of the first strikes, gained new members, their ranks swelling with volunteers eager to do their part. In the urban sprawls, civilians trained alongside military personnel, turning plazas and parks into makeshift training grounds. Engineers and scientists pooled their knowledge and resources, working tirelessly to innovate and adapt existing technology for the fight ahead. In rural areas, farmers and landowners formed militias, their familiarity with the land becoming a strategic advantage in guerrilla tactics. The world, in all its diversity, found common ground in the fight for survival. Cortez, watching the broadcast unfold, couldn't help but marvel at the unity Kane's words had inspired. "Seems the commander has a way with words," she commented, a hint of admiration in her voice. Flynn, standing beside her, smirked. "Words are great, but it's the action that counts. Still, it's good to see the world hasn't lost its fight." Zhao, overseeing the coordination of the global response from the Defiance, added, "This is just the beginning. The real test is yet to come." The crew returned to their tasks, buoyed by the knowledge that Earth was not passive in the face of annihilation. Humanity was mobilizing, its collective spirit kindled by the actions of the few aboard the Defiance. As Kane concluded his broadcast, a simple message of hope and defiance, the Defiance itself pressed on, a lone sentinel against the darkness, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The unity and tenacity of humankind, sparked by their victory, now blazed like a fire across the planet, a rallying cry for all who dared to stand against the encroaching shadow. The strategy room aboard the Defiance buzzed with a palpable energy, a blend of anticipation and resolve. Commander Kane stood at the center, his crew arrayed around him, each member ready to play their part in the audacious plan that lay unfolded before them. The holographic display in the middle of the room painted a vivid picture of the alien armada's sprawling formation, a constellation of threat against the backdrop of space. "Our objective is clear," Kane began, his voice cutting through the hum of conversation. "Hit fast, hit hard, and vanish before they can react. We chip away at their numbers, disrupt their supply lines, and keep them guessing. Flynn, your insight into guerrilla tactics will be invaluable here." Flynn, ever the tactician, nodded, a smirk playing on his lips. "Happy to oblige. We'll make ghosts of them yet." Cortez chimed in, her eyes gleaming with the challenge. "And with the plasma shield, we've got the best cloak and dagger. They won't see us coming or going." The plan was daring, striking at isolated ships on the fringes of the alien fleet, using the Defiance's superior speed and agility, coupled with the deceptive capabilities of the ghost drones, to engage and evade before any substantial retaliation could be mounted. Each hit would serve a dual purpose, to whittle down the enemy's strength and to sow confusion and fear within their ranks. The first sortie was executed with surgical precision. The Defiance, cloaked by Cortez's plasma shield, slipped unnoticed through the void towards their target, a supply vessel lagging at the edge of the alien formation. As they drew close, Flynn deployed the drones, creating a swarm of false signals that masked the Defiance's true approach. With the alien vessel's defenses distracted, the Defiance struck, its weapon systems discharging a concentrated barrage that tore through the supply ship's hull, igniting its stores and sending it adrift as a burning husk. Before the enemy could pinpoint their attacker, the Defiance was gone, slipping away into the dark, leaving chaos in their wake. The tactic was repeated across the fringes of the alien fleet, each strike a testament to human ingenuity and the crew's seamless coordination. News of their successes filtered back to Earth, each report a beacon of hope that bolstered the morale of those fighting and surviving on the home front. Kane watched from the bridge as their latest targets smoldered in the void, a satisfaction in his chest that was quickly tempered by the knowledge of the long road ahead. "Good work, everyone. Let's keep them on their toes." Zhao, overseeing the operations, added, "Every ship we take down is one less gun against Earth. We're making a difference." Amid the strategic victories and the adrenaline of their guerrilla campaign, there were moments of levity that served as reminders of their humanity. Flynn, recounting the bewildered communications intercepted from the aliens during their last engagement, couldn't help but laugh. "You think they'd learn after the third time? Guess we're just too slippery for them." Cortez, reviewing data from the plasma shield's performance, grinned. "Slippery and shielded. They didn't know what hit them." But it was Kane's resolve that anchored them, his eyes always on the horizon, always calculating the next move. "We continue at dawn. Rest up. We've got a long fight ahead of us." As the crew dispersed, each to their respective duties or quarters, there was a shared sense of purpose, a unity forged in the crucible of conflict. The Defiance had become more than a ship. It was a harbinger of humanity's resistance, a shadow darting through the stars, striking where least expected and vanishing before retribution could be wrought. A few days into their mission and under the cloak of nebulas and the silent watch of distant stars, Lieutenant Flynn embarked on a mission that was as daring as it was crucial. With a hand-picked team aboard a stealth shuttle, the Wraith, They slipped through the cold expanse towards the heart of the alien armada, their flagship. This behemoth of unknown alloys and enigmatic design had loomed like a specter over Earth, orchestrating the assault with terrifying efficiency. Uncovering its secrets, finding its Achilles heel, could tip the scales in humanity's favor. Flynn's team was a microcosm of the Defiance's spirit, each member an expert in their field, driven by a resolve that mirrored Flynn's own. They understood the stakes, the razor's edge upon which they balanced, yet their determination was unshakable. As they neared the alien fleet, cloaked by the latest in stealth technology, the Wraith's sensors hummed, probing for weaknesses, for any chink in the flagship's armor. Flynn, eyes glued to the data streams, whispered an ethos that had become their mantra. In shadows, we find the light. The breakthrough came unexpectedly, a flicker in the data, a pattern amid the static. The flagship, for all its might, had a flaw, a momentary drop in its shield's integrity, syncing with the pulse of its propulsion system. It was a narrow window, barely a heartbeat, yet it was all humanity needed. Back aboard the Defiance, Flynn presented his findings, the crew gathering around, a collective breath held in anticipation. Kane, Zhao, and Cortez leaned in, their eyes tracing the data, understanding dawning with each passing moment. "It's a long shot," Flynn admitted, the corner of his mouth quirking up in a half-smile. "But since when have we shied away from those?" Kane's response was a nod, his gaze already shifting to the strategic implications. "A long shot's all we've ever needed." Cortez, ever the pragmatist, chimed in, "We'll need to time it perfectly. One shot, one opportunity. We can't miss." The plan was audacious. A single, precision strike at the heart of the alien threat during the brief vulnerability in their shields. Success would require flawless execution, every member of the Defiance playing their part in a dance of timing and technology. As preparations began, the ship buzzed with a renewed vigor. Engineers calibrated weapon systems for maximum impact, and the crew steeled themselves for the battle to come. Flynn, reviewing the mission parameters, couldn't help but engage in a bit of banter with Cortez, a momentary levity in the weight of their task. "After this, I'm thinking of taking up something a bit less stressful, beekeeping perhaps." Cortez laughed, her tools clinking softly as she worked. "You? Bees would bore you to tears. Besides, you'd miss the thrill." The camaraderie, the shared moments of lightness amidst the gravity of their mission, underscored the bond that had formed among the crew. They were more than colleagues, they were comrades in arms, united by a cause greater than any one of them. As the Defiance set its course, the plan in motion, Kane addressed his crew, his voice a beacon of resolve. "This is it, our moment to change the tide, to show that no matter the odds, humanity will always find a way. For Earth, for all we hold dear, we fight." As the Defiance carved its path through the cosmos, back on Earth, a remarkable transformation unfolded. The revelation of a vulnerability within the alien armada's flagship, thanks to Flynn's reconnaissance, had ignited a fire across the globe. For the first time in human history, every nation, every community, unified under a single banner, not of a country or a creed, but of humanity itself. The impending strike against the aliens wasn't just a military operation. It was a symbol of human resilience, ingenuity, and an indomitable spirit. Engineers from disparate parts of the world collaborated, their combined expertise forging new weapons and reinforcing Earth's defenses. Soldiers trained alongside civilians who volunteered in droves, each individual eager to contribute to the planet's defense. The barriers that had once divided humanity, borders, languages, ideologies, seemed trivial in the face of extinction. In a sprawling hangar, a team of engineers led by Cortez worked tirelessly on the Defiance's armaments, enhancing the firepower needed for the decisive strike. "If we pull this off," she mused aloud, "we're not just making history, we're saving it." Her team laughed, the sound echoing off the metal walls, a moment of levity in the midst of their monumental task. Among them was an engineer from a small country, once overlooked in the global arena, now contributing critical innovations. "Back home we say, from small seeds grow mighty trees," he said, pride evident in his voice. "I never imagined I'd see the whole forest come together like this." On the training grounds, Flynn oversaw the preparation of the strike teams. His unconventional tactics, now the doctrine of a new kind of warfare. Soldiers, seasoned and new, hung on his every word, their determination mirrored in his steely gaze. "Remember," Flynn told them, "it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. We've got plenty of fight in us." Among the volunteers was a young woman, her previous life as a teacher a stark contrast to the soldier she was becoming. She approached Flynn, her resolve firm. "Lieutenant, I want to thank you, we all do, for giving us a chance to fight back." Flynn offered a rare, genuine smile. "We're all in this together. Every last one of us is the reason we'll win this war." Meanwhile, Kane orchestrated the global effort from the Defiance, his leadership extending beyond the ship to the furthest reaches of human resistance. In a broadcast to the world, he shared the plan of attack, not as an order, but as an invitation to stand united. "People of Earth," Kane began, his image transmitted to every corner of the planet. "This is our moment. The courage of a few has opened a path to victory, but it's the courage of us all that will see us through. Every effort, every sacrifice leads us to this point. Together, we will strike at the heart of our enemy, but more than that, we will strike a blow for the enduring spirit of humanity. Let's show them what we're made of." The response was immediate, a chorus of voices from around the globe pledging their support, their strength, and their hope. In research labs, factories, and homes, people worked with a single purpose. The unity was not just strategic, it was personal, each individual driven by the desire to protect their home, their loved ones, and their way of life. As the day of the strike approached, the Defiance and Earth itself stood ready, a united front against the darkness. The unity of purpose, the culmination of every skill, every talent, and every dream, had forged a weapon more potent than any plasma cannon or tactical maneuver, the collective will of humanity. Cortez, pausing in her work to wipe the sweat from her brow, looked around at her team, a microcosm of the world outside. "We're ready," she said, a simple declaration that carried the weight of millions of hopes. Flynn, reviewing the final details of the mission, felt the gravity of the moment, the unity of purpose that had brought them to this precipice. "Let's make history," he said, not as a command, but as a vow made on behalf of all humanity. The unity of purpose had transformed a disparate group of individuals into a singular force, poised to challenge the might of an alien empire. In the face of annihilation, humanity had found its greatest strength, not in weapons or walls, but in each other. Together, they stood on the brink of a battle that would decide the fate of their world, united in their resolve to fight, to survive, and to win. In the vast, unyielding expanse of space, the Defiance, leading a vanguard of humanity's resolve, set its course towards destiny. Surrounding it, a flotilla of vessels, each a testament to Earth's unified defiance, moved as one. This small but determined fleet represented the best of human innovation, courage, and the indomitable spirit to fight against the encroaching darkness. At the heart of this audacious assault was a plan to target the alien flagship's revealed vulnerability, a plan born from the courage and cunning of those like Flynn and the brilliance of minds like Cortez's. As they approached the alien armada, the vastness of space became a canvas for an epic confrontation. The alien flagship, a behemoth of unknown metals and sinister purpose, loomed ahead, unaware of the storm that was about to break upon it. Cortez, her fingers dancing over the control panel, ensured the plasma shield was calibrated to perfection, the culmination of human ingenuity and her own relentless determination. "This shield better hold, or we're going to get a lot closer to those aliens than I'd like," she quipped, tension and humor mingling in her voice. Flynn, his gaze fixed on the tactical display, responded with a grin. "Just keep us invisible a little longer, Cortez. I plan on making this a visit they'll never forget." The initial volley of fire from the human ships was a declaration, a refusal to go quietly into the night. The Defiance, swift and lethal, darted through the alien formations, its movements a choreography of Flynn's strategic genius. The ghost drones, deployed with precision, created a labyrinth of false targets, disorienting the alien defenses. Amid the chaos, the Defiance found its path to the flagship, the shield's vulnerability window their beacon. The timing had to be perfect. The margin for error was non-existent. Kane, standing resolute at the helm, gave the order, his voice steady. "Now, Cortez. Everything we've got." The plasma shield flickered, transitioning from defense to offense, channeling the Defiance's power into a single, concentrated strike. The energy cannon, humming with pent-up fury, unleashed its wrath at the precise moment the alien shield wavered. The beam of pure energy struck true, piercing the Mechron flagship's hull and igniting its core. The explosion was a silent, brilliant testament to human resilience, the flagship crumbling from within, a giant felled by the slingshot of humanity's defiance. As the flagship's destruction rippled through the alien ranks, confusion turned to disarray. The human fleet, seizing the moment, pressed the attack. Ships that had once stood on the brink of annihilation now danced between their foes, each strike a blow for Earth, for home, and for the future. Kane, witnessing the tide turn, allowed himself a moment of pride. "This is for Earth," he murmured, a promise kept, a duty fulfilled. The battle raged, the space around them a storm of fire and fury. Losses were felt on both sides, the cost of victory written in the stars. Yet, amid the sacrifice, the bravery of the human spirit shone brightest. Cortez, watching the remnants of the alien flagship drift into oblivion, felt a surge of triumph mixed with sorrow. "We did it," she said, the weight of their loss and the scale of their victory settling in her heart. Flynn, surveying the battlefield, nodded in agreement. "We did," he acknowledged. "But this is just the beginning. The Armada's crippled, but not defeated. We've given Earth a fighting chance." The Defiance and its fleet, regrouped, ready to face the next challenge. The destruction of the flagship, a beacon of hope across the cosmos, signaled not the end, but a new chapter in humanity's fight for survival. Amid the debris and the stars, the human spirit, unyielding and fierce, prepared for the journey home, for the battles yet to come, united in purpose and strengthened by the bonds forged in the crucible of war. In the aftermath of the decisive strike, Kane stood before the main viewport, gazing out at the stars that had witnessed their fiercest battle. The victory had been theirs, but the reflection in the glass showed a man who understood the burdens such triumphs demanded. He turned to face his crew, the survivors of a war that had asked more of them than any should bear. "We have done what many thought impossible," he began, his voice echoing softly through the ship. "But our celebration is tempered by our loss. We honor those who cannot stand with us today, whose courage and sacrifice have ensured a future for us all." Cortez, her hands mechanically adjusting a tool belt that felt heavier than before, paused to listen. The brilliance of her inventions had turned the tide, yet the cost shadowed her heart. "Every circuit, every bolt, they're all reminders," she whispered to no one in particular, her usual spark dimmed by the weight of loss. Flynn, leaning against a bulkhead, nodded in silent agreement. His tactics had bewildered their foes, yet the faces of those he had led, now absent, haunted him. "We fought for each other, for those we've lost," he said, the edge in his voice softened by grief. "We'll carry their memory, always." As the Defiance made its way back to Earth, the mood was not one of defeat, but of reflective victory. The crew, bound by their shared ordeal, understood the fragility of their success. The Mechron Armada was still out there, Earth was still cornered by the alien threat, but their victory, albeit small, paved the road for success. Upon their arrival, the world greeted them not with fanfare, but with a solemn respect. Memorials sprang up across the globe, each name etched in stone a promise to remember the cost of freedom. Humanity, united in grief, found strength in their shared loss, their collective mourning forging an even deeper bond. A slight distance from Jupiter, space began to fold in on itself, engulfing the latest Earth vessel. This ship, built at the Nova Heavy Industries shipyard, was the only one that had remained undetected and intact after the mechanoids' assaults. It was also the birthplace of the solemn Vanguard, one of two dreadnoughts, destined to become known centuries later as the Cosmos Devourer. This vessel, however, was much smaller, not designed to break through enemy lines but to hunt and exterminate them, just as they had tried to do to us. Powered by an experimental black hole reactor, the only one in the galaxy, and equipped with humanity's most advanced technologies, It stood as a solitary symbol of human defiance against the threat of annihilation. Its sleek, angular shape sliced through the universe, moving away from a planet that once buzzed with life. Earth, now only a broken-up into pieces, charred shell, remained silent in the space void, left behind in its wake. Its Tryon drive humming with the power of a collapsed sun, the ship had a singular mission: to confront Earth's destroyers alone. There was no backup on the way. Its name, the N-Tech Vanguard 1, their last and final ship design, further made possible by Nova Heavy Industries, once their rivals, now their allies, or at least what was left of their branch. Captain Orion Black stood at the viewport, his eyes locked on the diminishing blue planet. The responsibility of leadership weighed on him, more burdensome than the force of 1,000 planets. He embodied determination, yet the reflection in the window showed a glimmer of sadness for the home he would never return to. First Officer Mira Rin, daughter of the renowned Vecca and her crew of the Requiem, Nicordus, Paradox, and Faleri. A vessel originally under the command of Commander Atlas Vale, but by luck found. It came from a future far removed from today's events, who through many hardships had fought the mechanoids across time and space, made some of this possible today, as she stood beside him, her presence offering quiet support. "It's hard to believe it's gone," she murmured, with no need to specify what it was. The sense of loss was tangible, felt by everyone on board. The N-Tech flagship, Requiem, last seen 2 decades ago and presumably lost to a spatial rift, its last broadcast sent out a final warning: "We failed. Do not wait for us." This mission rested now solely on this ship, hence why Mira had been stationed on it. Vecca would have wanted it this way. Orion turned, his expression set in resolve. "We can't afford the luxury of grief, Rin. Not now." His voice was steady, yet it echoed with a mutual sorrow. "The mechanoids stripped us of everything. We are the last hope to end their rule. With or without the Requiem, we have to do it." The bridge hummed with subdued activity, each member of the 6-person crew stationed at their post. Chief Engineer Turner kept vigilant watch over the ship's core, making sure that the black hole reactor and the dark matter cannon served as a symbol of hope be kept in pristine condition. Dr. Zhou, the lead scientist, was engrossed in her calculations, each figure a step towards vengeance. Sergeant Harper, the tactical officer, went over defense plans, his thoughts fortifying against the imminent battle. Vasquez, the communications officer, sifted through frequencies, his ears attuned to the galaxy's faint murmurs. Singh, the navigation officer, plotted their journey through the celestial void, guiding them through the darkness. Dr. Rivera, the medical officer, stood at the ready to heal both the physical and emotional wounds inflicted by the war. The lively banter that once echoed among the crew, a sign of their tight bond, had quieted down, replaced by a gravity befitting their mission. Yet, in the quiet, an unspoken understanding lingered, a connection strengthened by loss and the collective goal that propelled them onward. "Remember, we're not just seeking revenge for Earth," Black spoke to his crew, his voice breaking the silence. "We're fighting for every world under threat from the mechanoids. We bear the galaxy's hopes on our shoulders." Rin nodded, her determination reflecting that of the captain. "And we won't fail them, especially not with our ace in the hole." Her gaze shifted towards the chamber containing the dark matter cannon, its potent energy dormant but poised to deliver devastation to their foes. Turner broke the tense mood with a touch of his characteristic humor. "Just let me know before you fire that thing. I'd rather not be turned into stardust while I'm tightening a bolt." Zhou, always the scientist, clarified. "Theoretical stardust, Turner. This replica cannon hasn't been tested yet, and the original was lost together with the Requiem." Her tone was clinical. Harper grunted, focused on the tactical display. "Let's just make sure it turns those mechanoids into actual dust. Theoretical victories won't win this war." A week into their journey, in the vast expanse of space, speckled with distant starlight, was abruptly disrupted as a mechanoid destroyer, 10 times the size of Vanguard 1, sliced through the void. Its arrival was silent but foreboding, signaling the looming battle. Vanguard 1, a lone symbol of defiance, readied itself for the confrontation. Orion's voice was steady, tinged with resolve. "Battle stations, this is what we've prepared for." His order reverberated down the hallways, a rallying cry that spurred the crew into immediate action. Rin at his side eyed the approaching craft with a tactical mindset. These ships usually aren't solitary. This could be the edge of a larger snare. Let them come, Harper stated firmly, preparing the ship's armaments. We'll deliver a welcome they'll remember. Singh tweaked the ship's path, setting up for evasive maneuvers. I'll keep us agile. It'll make it tougher for them to target us. Turner's voice came through the comms, tinged with concentration and a hint of thrill. Cannons charged and ready. Give the order and I'll light up the sky. Jo kept her eyes on the energy readings, her brain swiftly trying to anticipate the enemy's tactics. Be cautious of their weaponry. While we have the Requiem's future tech, the mechanoid's technology can still be lethal. We still don't know what happened to them. Vasquez continued his watch over the frequencies, vigilant and silent. No distress signals yet. We might have caught this one unaware. The ship deployed all of its weaponry, multiple positron cannons aimed at them, then unleashed a barrage of beams towards Vanguard 1. The battle unfolded like a dance of death, showcasing the crew's expert training and the ship's capabilities. Rin's voice radiated confidence. Harper, return fire. Singh, evasive maneuvers. Harper responded instantly, sending a volley of precise shots that lit up the space between them. Take that, you rust buckets. Singh's piloting was like poetry in motion, the ship dodging and weaving with elegance. Try and catch us now. The scout ship, persistent, shifted its tactics, launching a net of energy aimed to ensnare Vanguard 1. It was an unexpected move. Jo, we need an edge, Orion declared, focused on the intense battle. Jo responded without delay, rerouting a burst of power to shields and setting up a feedback pulse. It might just scramble their systems. Do it, Orion commanded, his faith in her judgment complete. The feedback pulse unleashed a torrent of energy that coursed through the mechanoid's net, overloading its grappler, breaking its grip, and sending the vessel staggering back, the overload causing a cascading explosion in the vessel, as the ship was momentarily disabled. Now, Turner! Orion's command served as the trigger. With pleasure, Captain. Turner fired the dark matter cannon at its theoretical power output, sending a devastating beam of dark energy that struck the scout ship with pinpoint accuracy. The impact was nothing less than impressive, boring a hole through the ship and nearly bisecting it, its shields failing to even momentarily halt the shot. The beam reduced the enemy to mere space dust in an instant. Silence reclaimed the void of space, the brief skirmish ending as suddenly as it had begun. The crew of Vanguard 1, their determination reinforced, shared a fleeting moment of victory. Yet there was no time for celebration, only a quiet reflection and the tacit recognition of the long journey ahead. Rin turned to Orion, a brief smile of victory on her lips. One down, but the galaxy is filled with shadows. We'll be ready for them. Orion nodded, his gaze fixed on the stars once more. Let them come. We'll be waiting. As Vanguard 1 resumed its course, the crew's bond was strengthened, and their mission became even more defined. In the silence that followed their encounter with the mechanoid destroyer, the crew of Vanguard 1 faced a challenge far greater than the physical confrontations they were trained for. The dark matter cannon, their most powerful weapon, had demonstrated its catastrophic capability, yet its utilization introduced a profound ethical dilemma that hung in the air, denser than the void of space itself. Something the engineer of the Requiem, Nicordus, had no qualms with. He were of the thought, shoot first, don't ask questions later. Orion called for a meeting in the command center, his face serious, reflecting the gravity of the discussion ahead. We've seen what the cannon can do, he started, his voice firm. It's our greatest asset and potentially our biggest liability. I want to hear your thoughts on its use. Rin, always a reliable voice of reason, was the first to express the discomfort that many harbored. It's not just a weapon, it's a declaration. Using it without restraint would make us no better than those we're fighting against. Sorry, Mom, but it's true, speaking as if her mother was still standing right next to her. Turner, who had managed the cannon's operation, leaned in. We need to consider the practical aspects. It's powerful, yes, but it has limitations. Overuse could cause catastrophic malfunctions. Not to mention, The energy required to fire it is massive. Although this ship was modeled after the Requiem, it's made with vastly inferior components that could possibly fail at the worst moment. Joe, whose expertise in dark matter was vital to the cannon's well-being, added depth to the conversation. There's also the unknown element of dark matter manipulation. We're venturing into unexplored scientific realms. It works. But that's all we know. The effects could reach further than just the immediate targets. Something even the crew of the Requiem doesn't even know. Harper, always focused on strategy, viewed it through a tactical lens. It's a deterrent, certainly, but relying on a single weapon, particularly one this potent, could obscure other, perhaps more nuanced methods of engagement. Vasquez, who had been quietly observing, brought up a critical consideration. What about the signal it sends? If it becomes known that we have the capability to obliterate planets, the mechanoids or even other aliens may become our enemies, or try to snatch it away from us. We also can't be everywhere at the same time. Singh offered a navigator's insight. And let's not overlook our moral compass. Our mission was to defend what remains of humanity, not to become agents of destruction on a cosmic scale. Rin, deep in thought, reflects on the stories her mother used to tell, sighs and rests her palm against her face, then agrees with what is being said, but not before remembering one particular story. The Requiem, under her mother's vigilant oversight, contributed significantly to the well-being of the galaxy, yet there were times it inadvertently caused sheer devastation. Like the incident when they provided aliens with the coordinates of a sun, not realizing the aliens would jump to it without verification. The resulting terror and panic broadcast across the void as their ships plummeted into the sun's gravitational pull was horrific. Falera always insisted it was merely an error, while doing his typical "I don't care" shoulder shrug, but his knack for persuasion was as effective on people as it was on aliens. If not for that critical moment when the aliens had their sights on the vessel, adrift in space, barely functional, with a creature running amok on board, none of them might have survived. Falera's intervention was crucial. It's the reason she, us, and many others are still alive today. The debate continued intensely, with each member grappling with the ramifications of wielding such formidable power. It highlighted the varied backgrounds and convictions that had come together under the mission of Vanguard 1. Yet, despite their differences, they found common ground. A dedication to balancing the urgent needs of their mission with the preservation of their humanity. Orion listened attentively, his respect for his crew growing. We're in agreement then. The dark matter cannon is our last resort, not our first response. We'll employ it judiciously, fully conscious of the outcomes. Rin nodded, making eye contact with each crew member. Let's remember who we are and what we're fighting for. The mechanoids might not cherish life, but we do. The meeting ended, but the gravity of their decision remained palpable. As they dispersed, the crew carried with them a rejuvenated sense of purpose. As Vanguard 1 sailed through the cosmos, the dark matter cannon, a symbol of their strength, also stood as a reminder of their humanity. They would proceed with caution, employing their capabilities with prudence and moderation, recognizing that true might is measured not by the capacity to obliterate, but by the wisdom to preserve. Navigating through uncharted stretches of space, Vanguard 1 entered a system absent from any star charts, a cosmic maze filled with stellar anomalies and magnetic storms. Singh, their experienced navigator, displayed a look of concentration, her fingers swiftly moving over the console to plot a path through the chaotic tempest enveloping them. We've deviated from our planned trajectory, Singh reported, her tone tinged with worry. These anomalies are disrupting our navigation systems. I'm doing everything I can to maintain our course. Orion stood resolute in the face of uncertainty, his gaze fixed on the view screen where the swirling colors of the nebula cast shifting hues across his face. Keep at it, Singh. There's always a way through. The crew's morale was a blend of apprehension and determination. Harper, vigilant for any potential threats, couldn't help but comment, "Well, if we wanted a scenic route, I'd say we hit the jackpot." Turner, keeping an eye on the ship's systems, added his own bit of dry humor. "Let's just hope this scenic route doesn't include a free tour inside a black hole." Their course was uncertain, but their spirits were buoyed. The path ahead was uncharted, yet for the crew of Vanguard 1, the voyage itself was vital, each system traversed, a step closer to their overarching mission. Despite the outward calm of space, Vanguard 1 was anything but tranquil. A series of unexplained malfunctions began to afflict the ship, each occurrence more troubling than the last. Initially considered mere wear and tear from their relentless voyage, they had been in space for months now. The series of malfunctions soon revealed a more sinister possibility: sabotage. Orion called an emergency meeting, the seriousness of the situation reflected in the somber expressions of his crew. "Someone or something on board is undermining our mission," he stated, his voice cutting through the heavy silence filled with disbelief. Rin, always the rational voice, unlike her mother, sought to temper the growing panic. "We need to handle this systematically." Turner, the chief engineer, had first noticed the irregularities. The life support systems were tampered with, and the navigation database has been corrupted. This wasn't a malfunction, it was deliberate. Suspicion now shrouded Harper's mind, his instincts repurposed for internal scrutiny. Every one of us had access, and every one of us had the opportunity. The real question is, who had the motive? We are all in this together. Unless one of us isn't who they claim to be, looking at Rin, then stating that you used to be friends with a mechanoid. Rin, clearly taken back, responded, "Monger or Buster Prime wouldn't do such a thing. They were on the human side, our side. Besides, they were mechrons, not mechanoids. There is a clear distinction between the two." Turner replies, "Mechrons aren't any different on the other side of the Triverse. They also destroy all life as they find it. They just don't fuse with it. Its designation as warmonger is even in its name. How can you be so sure? Or was it just all miracles on board the Requiem?" Jo yelled, "Enough!" She was typically engrossed in her scientific pursuits, but was hit hard by the wave of mistrust. "We're a crew, a team. It's hard to believe that any one of us could do this." Her voice faltered, the notion too painful to fully articulate. "If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't even be out here in space to begin with." Vasquez, responsible for communications, proposed another angle. "I'll monitor all transmissions, both internal and external. There might be an unseen observer among us. If our saboteur is communicating with someone outside, I'll find it," Vasquez affirmed, committed to uncovering any external collusion. Meanwhile, Singh, whose role as navigator had been directly impacted by the corrupted databases, devoted herself to restoring their navigational integrity. "We're essentially blind in space until I can fix this. Every moment we're off course is a moment lost." The crew undertook their responsibilities amid a cloud of mistrust. Orion coordinated a discreet investigation, poring over logs, conducting interviews with crew members, and meticulously analyzing every recent activity for indicators of duplicity. As the investigation intensified, the strain on the crew's once strong camaraderie was palpable. The usual light-hearted banter was replaced by terse, cautious exchanges. Every word was carefully weighed, every look filled with unspoken suspicion. Rin, feeling the pressure, defended her actions passionately, her frustration visible. "I've been with this project, this ship from the start," she argued. "Why would I risk everything we're working towards now?" Orion, understanding yet resolute, responded, "It's not about past loyalty, Rin. It's about the actions taken now. We must explore every possibility." It was then that Rin snapped his neck like a twig. However, it was just a vivid daydream reflecting something Nicortis might have done when he couldn't provide an answer. A faint smile crossed her face as she remembered another one of the bedtime stories they used to tell her. Like that one time he yelled, "Good luck!" while he... Just then, Orion snapped her out of her reverie during the interrogation. "Rin, we are done for now," he said. The turning point in their investigation came unexpectedly. Vasquez, while meticulously scanning through communications, detected an anomaly, a hidden data packet embedded within the ship's maintenance logs. "I found something," Vasquez announced, his voice tinged with both triumph and unease. "It's encrypted, but it definitely shouldn't be here." With Joe's technical prowess, they managed to decrypt the message, uncovering a series of sabotage instructions that were coded, yet unmistakable mechanoid in origin. The source of the instructions was astounding. It came from the scout ship that they had destroyed months before at the start of their journey. Mere moments before its destruction, the scout ship had sent a burst of data to Vanguard 1, which included an AI component. However, because the enemy ship was destroyed so swiftly by the dark matter cannon, only a fraction of its code was uploaded. Had it been fully transmitted, it could have taken control of Vanguard 1, or worse, caused it to self-destruct. This revelation brought a mixture of relief. They hadn't been betrayed by one of their own. Instead, they had almost fallen victim to the cunning mechanoids. A stark contrast to the straightforward Macron from the other dimension that would just use brute force. This incident, while initially distressing, ultimately strengthened their unity. They had confronted the ghost of betrayal and came out stronger. Their trust in each other reinforced. The crew of Vanguard 1, once riddled with suspicion, now stood united, more resolved than ever to continue their mission. As they prepared for the challenges that lay ahead, the breach had become a catalyst for their solidarity, transforming a moment of vulnerability into a renewed commitment to their collective purpose. As the vessel Vanguard 1 resumed its course, the crew's spirits lifted, buoyed by the resolution of their internal crisis. Yet, the universe was not done testing them. Weeks later, a distress signal, faint but clear, pulsed through the cosmos, acting like a beacon of desperate hope. Orion, always the careful strategist, approached the signal with caution. "Rin, Harper, keep us on alert. This could be a trap." Rin nodded, her gaze fixed on the instrument panels. "We're prepared for anything. But let's not forget, this could be a genuine call for help." As they neared the source of the signal, they encountered a small, battered vessel adrift amid the remnants of what seemed to be a recent space battle. The area was a silent graveyard of cosmic debris, with fragments of unidentified ships floating in the void. Singh skillfully maneuvered Vanguard 1 closer, enabling Vasquez to establish communication. The voice that crackled through the comms was weary yet relieved. "Thank the stars. We thought we were the only ones left." The survivors were from a diverse coalition of species that had united against the mechanoid threat. Their ship had been part of a convoy carrying refugees and essential resources when they were suddenly ambushed by mechanoids. Orion, recognizing a chance for collaboration, reached out with an offer of help. "We share a common enemy. Maybe we can support each other." As the occurrence of encountering them has been on an all-time high, the survivors, led by Captain Lyra, were initially skeptical yet in a dire situation. "Our coalition is scattered," she explained. "Resources are sparse, and trust is even scarcer." As the two ships docked, Vanguard 1's crew opened their doors to the survivors. The initial interactions were tentative, with both groups cautiously assessing each other. Harper was the first to ease the tension, offering a tour of their ship. Lyra, intrigued, accompanied Harper along with Joe, who was keen to discuss potential exchanges. However, their conversation quickly shifted to strategies for combating the mechanoids. Meanwhile, Rin and Singh mingled with the other survivors, learning about their cultures, technologies, and personal stories. This exchange broadened Vanguard 1's crew's perspectives, enriching their understanding and offering new approaches to their ongoing mission. Turner and Vasquez connected with the engineers and communications experts among the survivors, exchanging tips and tricks that had helped keep their ships operational against all odds. As the hours spent together turned into camaraderie, the survivors, struck by the humanity and resolve of Orion and his crew, pledged their support. "We've been fighting a losing battle," Lyra confessed, "but together, we might just have a chance. The scourge that are the mechanoids needs to be dealt with." The alliance was cemented with a collective goal: to reunite the scattered forces of Lyra's coalition and launch a counteroffensive against the mechanoids. Orion, addressing both his team and their new allies, was filled with a renewed sense of purpose. "This is more than a fight for survival," he proclaimed. "It's a battle for the future. Together, we will shift the balance." Especially with the Vanguard 1 as the lead ship. With the aliens renaming their main ship for the sale of the coalition, the vessel would now be named the Solemn Vow, after the solemn Vanguard that they had been talking about. N-Tech, if they were still around, would have agreed to that name without a second thought. Later, as they disengaged their docking clamps, now united by a shared cause, the crew of Vanguard 1 gazed at the cosmos with fresh resolve. The interaction had not only brought them allies, but had also breathed new life into their mission with added insights and possibilities. Facing the road ahead, fraught with peril, the unity crafted in the cosmic void stood as a symbol of the resilience inherent in those who defy despair. Together, they advanced, a coalition ready to confront the darkness with a collective strength. The galaxy watched as Vanguard 1, alongside the Solemn Vow and a diverse fleet of allied vessels, steered towards the vast formation of the Mechanoid Armada. The Mechanoids, a tide of unfeeling mix of metal and flesh, appeared infinite, their numbers obscuring the stars with their sheer volume of ships. Orion stood at the helm, his expression resolute as he surveyed his crew and their newfound allies poised at their stations. "This is it," he declared, his voice a firm beacon of resolve. "Today, we turn the tide. For Earth, for our allies, for the future." Rin, stationed beside him, nodded, her attention laser-focused. "All ships are reporting ready. It's now or never." As the battle erupted, the vastness of space trembled under the fury unleashed. Mechanoid ships advanced in a meticulously orchestrated waves of destruction. Harper, charged with coordinating the defense, issued commands with precision. "Focus fire on their lead ships. Break their formation." Singh piloted Vanguard 1 with exceptional finesse, dodging and weaving through the barrage of enemy fire, her movements a ballet of defiance. Each evasive action she executed gave their gunners the critical seconds needed, and Turner, manning the dark matter cannon, awaited the perfect moment to deploy its devastating power. Lyra, commanding the Solemn Vow, led her vessel with a calm that contrasted sharply with the surrounding tumult. "Stay close, Vanguard. Without your shields, we won't last. Our shields are synced," she directed, ensuring their coordinated defense. As the clash intensified, a testament to the desperation and bravery of the combatants, Joe, collaborating with the coalition scientists, unleashed a new tactic. They had engineered a series of electromagnetic pulses designed to sever the mechanoid's quantum hive mind structure, and so with it their coordination. "Deploying pulses now," Joe announced, her voice threading hope through the strain of battle. The battle raged on, a fierce struggle for survival and a future, with every pulse and maneuver marking the courage and unity of this unexpected coalition. Vasquez and the communications team exerted themselves to their limits, effectively jamming the mechanoid's hive mind signals and casting disarray among their ranks. "Let's see how well they fight in silence," Vasquez remarked, a trace of satisfaction coloring his voice. Despite their formidable presence, the mechanoids were not invulnerable. The strategy employed by the Allied fleet began to yield results, gradually eroding the enemy's once overwhelming superiority. Then, the critical moment arrived for the dark matter cannon. As the mechanoid fleet grouped up for a fierce attack, Orion issued the command, his voice imbued with determination. "Big mistake, you tin cans. Turner now." The cannon charged, its hum escalating to a deafening roar, sending vibrations through the very fabric of space. Turner, his hand unwavering, released the weapon's immense power. A beam of sheer destruction blasted forth, slicing through the mechanoid fleet and obliterating everything in its trajectory. It continued to fire repeatedly until it could fire no more. In the aftermath, a profound silence enveloped the battlefield. The mechanoid's advance had been decisively thwarted, their fleet reduced to ruins. However, the victory came at a steep price. Several Allied ships were lost, their brave crews making the ultimate sacrifice. Orion, his gaze sweeping over the debris-strewn expanse, experienced a deep pang of sorrow for those lost. "Their sacrifice will not be forgotten. We'll carry their memory with us as we continue the fight," he vowed, his voice resonant with resolve and respect for the fallen heroes, ensuring that their bravery would be honored in the ongoing struggle. Rin, gazing into the vastness of the cosmos, recognized that the battle they had just fought was only the beginning of a much larger conflict. "This is just the start. But today, we've demonstrated that we can hold our ground against them," she affirmed, her voice a mixture of weariness and determination. The crew and their allies paused to pay respects to those who had fallen, seizing a brief moment of solace in the relentless struggle. Their resolve, however, had only grown stronger, forged in the fires of conflict and solidified through the bonds created in battle. The future remained shrouded in uncertainty, the threat of the mechanoids still looming large. Yet for the first time, there was a tangible sense of hope among the crew, a shared belief that together they could wrest the future from the grasp of their ruthless foes. In the quiet aftermath of their narrow victory, the remnants of the Allied fleet, led by Vanguard 1, navigated through the scattered debris of the battlefield. The stars above seemed to echo the somber mood, mourning the lives lost. The silence of space stood in stark contrast to the recent turmoil, yet there was scant time for reflection. The mechanoids, ever relentless, were already jumping into the system, their unwavering objective to conquer undiminished by their losses. The threat loomed again, casting a shadow over the exhausted allies. Orion, his expression etched with resolute determination, evaluated their predicament with a sobering clarity. "We can't outfight them this time. The cannon needs maintenance. We'll have to outsmart them," he declared, his gaze locking with Rin's, each reflecting the other's steely resolve in the face of the ongoing threat. Rin nodded, her mind already spinning with tactical options. "We'll need to use every trick in the book. Harper, Sing, it's time to play hide and seek." At the tactical station, Harper's face broke into a wry smile, energized by the prospect of a cerebral challenge. "I've been itching to try out my new tactics. Let's see how well these mechanoids can track a ghost," she remarked as their stealth drive hummed to life. Sing, her hands poised over the navigation console, carefully charted a course through a nearby asteroid field, dense and fraught with danger. "This will either be our best maneuver or our last," she quipped, her voice light despite the high stakes. As Vanguard 1 and the Allied fleet darted into the asteroid field, the mechanoids paused, their programmed logic calculating the potential risks. This moment of hesitation was exactly what Orion aimed to exploit. Meanwhile, Zhou and her science team were busy deploying a series of drones, each one programmed to emulate the energy signatures of the Allied ships. "Let's give them targets too tempting to ignore," she suggested, her eyes tracking the drones as they scattered, drawing the mechanoids into a frenetic pursuit among the rocky hazards. This tactical deception provided the Allied fleet a critical advantage, leveraging cunning and technology against the raw firepower and relentless pursuit of their foes. Vasquez, stationed at the communications console, actively disrupted the mechanoids' sensors with a barrage of deceptive signals. "If they're looking for us, let's make sure they hear us everywhere but where we actually are," he declared, flooding their systems with noise to obscure their true location. The mechanoids, lured by the drone decoys and confounded by the relentless jamming, split their forces. Some chased after the illusory targets, while others scrambled to make sense of the conflicting data overwhelming their sensors. Turner kept a close eye on the ship's systems, tweaking the power outputs to further reduce their visibility. "Drive output field nearing 100%, enveloping all Allied ships that are close. We're going dark. Let's hope space is big enough for us to disappear," he said, reducing their visibility to nearly nothing. "Just like a black hole," Rin mused, looking at the Vanguard 1's black hole reactor. The chase evolved into a tense and strategic dance through the asteroid field. The Allied ships glided silently, mere shadows amidst the celestial debris, while the mechanoids, misled and disorganized, tangled themselves in the very traps they had hoped to set for their enemies. Harper, monitoring the disarray among the mechanoid forces, couldn't help but feel a twinge of satisfaction. "Looks like we're not the only ones who can get lost in space," he commented, observing their futile efforts to locate the fleet. Rin, ever the pragmatic leader, kept her eyes trained on the road ahead, aware that their situation was still precarious. "Don't celebrate just yet. We're not out of the woods, or should I say the void, until we reach safe harbor," she reminded them, ensuring the crew maintained their focus on the escape rather than the momentary triumph. As the last of the mechanoid ships were drawn away by the final drone, the Allied fleet emerged from the asteroid field, welcomed by the stars as though greeting old friends. Their advanced Tryon drive spooled up momentarily, opening up a portal large enough for the whole Allied fleet to jump through. The immediate danger had been navigated successfully, allowing the crew a moment to breathe a collective sigh of relief. Yet this respite was infused with the sobering reality that the broader conflict raged on. Orion, his eyes fixed on the vastness ahead, addressed the crew with a quiet intensity, his words cutting through the temporary calm. This was more than an escape. It was a lesson. In unity, there's strength. In ingenuity, victory. We'll need both to end this war. The fleet then readied itself for the next strategic move. Though the mechanoids continued their relentless search, for now, the Allies had effectively disappeared, becoming mere ghosts in the infinite expanse of space. The journey of Vanguard 1 and its allied fleet was at a critical juncture, with coordinates set for the very heart of the mechanoid empire, the cannon now well tested. Ahead lay not only a physical battle but also a profound ethical dilemma. The decision to deploy the dark matter cannon against planets was fraught with gravity. Targeting mechanoid worlds was necessary to cripple their war capabilities. Yet each world destroyed also meant the irreversible annihilation of whatever life and resources it held. This daunting reality pressed heavily on every heart aboard, as they grappled with the moral implications of their actions against the urgent need to end the mechanoid threat. The path they had chosen was lined with stark choices, each step forward a balance between strategic necessity and the heavy burden of their consequences. Orion, his brow furrowed in contemplation, stood before the viewport, the distant stars casting a somber light across his face. "We've come to the point of no return," he murmured, his voice barely more than a whisper. "The decisions we make now will define us forever." Rin, always steadfast at his side, shared the weight of their impending choices. "We're doing this to end a war, to save countless lives. Remember, those worlds are void of innocent life. They're factories of death." The crew assembled in a somber huddle, each member wrestling with their conscience. Harper, typically resolute in the face of the enemy, now found himself questioning the path that lay ahead. Destroying worlds. It's not what I signed up for. But then, I didn't sign up to watch the universe fall, either. Singh navigated the ship through the void, her coordinates precisely locked in. Her hands remained steady at the controls, yet her voice revealed her internal conflict. "Every course I plot, I wonder, is it leading us to salvation or damnation?" Zhou, deeply engrossed in her research, attempted to find comfort in the cold, hard logic of their strategy. "These worlds are the mechanoids' nerve centers. Remove them, and we cripple their ability to harm others. It's a surgical strike, not blind destruction." Together they faced the daunting reality of their mission, each grappling with the moral implications of their actions, seeking justification and resolve in the face of overwhelming choices. The darkness of space around them seemed to mirror the depth of their dilemma, a stark reminder of the vastness of their responsibilities. Vasquez kept his eyes on the communications array, the silence emanating from the mechanoid worlds eerie in its absolute finality. "It feels like we're ghosts haunting these worlds before we consign them to oblivion," he mused, his tone a mix of reflection and foreboding. Turner, responsible for operating the dark matter cannon, felt the burden of his task more than ever. "Every time I power up this cannon, I wonder, are we still the good guys?" Rin silently wished for the Requiem to be here, by their side, guiding them through this dark moment. Without any hesitation, they were prepared to do whatever was necessary. The first target planet loomed ahead, a vivid contrast to the mechanoid way of life. They had expected to find dead planets, barren and lifeless, mere factories of death. Instead, they encountered a lush green world teeming with life, far from what they had anticipated. As the cannon charged, tension filled the ship, yet there was a palpable unity among the crew, bound together by a grave resolve. They had no choice. Orion's voice was steady as he gave the command that would alter the trajectory of the war. "Fire!" The beam from the dark matter cannon cut through the void, striking the mechanoid planet with devastating precision. The planet at first seemed to be fine, but then imploded under the force of the beam, disintegrating into the vacuum of space, its existence erased in a matter of moments. A profound silence ensued, heavy with the gravity of their actions. The crew of Vanguard 1 and their allies were left to confront the reality of their choice. Though their enemy was a legion of unfeeling machines, the cost of such destructive power was a burden they all felt. In the quiet that followed, Harper sought comfort in the solidarity of his comrades. "We did what we had to do, for the sake of the living. I can live with that, knowing we're together in this," he affirmed, finding solace in their shared burden. Rin, her gaze fixed on the endless stars, reflected on the path they had taken. "This war, it's taken so much from us, but it's also shown us who we are, what we're fighting for," she said, her voice a blend of loss and resolve, a testament to the complex moral landscape they navigated. Orion stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the emptiness where a world had once orbited, a reminder of the war's harsh necessities. We carry the weight of these actions, not as a burden, but as a reminder of the cost of freedom. We'll see this through to the end. For humanity. For the future, he vowed, his voice resolute amidst the solemnity of their mission. Amid the debris and echoes of their consequential actions, they pressed forward, a unified force driven by an indomitable spirit and an unwavering commitment to their cause. Years later, the culminating battle against the mechanoids had ushered in a precarious state of peace. The enemy's nerve centers were now dust scattered across the cosmos, their once formidable fleets reduced to aimless drifters. Humanity and its allies stood at the brink of a monumental task, the reconstruction of a galaxy ravaged by relentless conflict. Vanguard 1, now celebrated as a symbol of hope, charted its course back to the starting point of their odyssey, the ravaged Earth. As they approached, Earth appeared as a mere shadow of the vibrant world it once was, cracked in half with massive tectonic plates floating in space. After expressing their gratitude to the planet for all it had provided humanity, they set their sights on a new planet where humanity would have to start anew. Beside Orion, Rin shared in the reflective moment, her voice tinged with a somber yet hopeful cadence. "We've been given a second chance," she observed, looking out at their new planet. "Not just to rebuild, but to rethink our place in the universe." Her words, like seeds on fertile ground, suggested not just the restoration of a world, but their rebirth. Orion, watching the first ships touch down on New Earth, in remembrance of new technologies, or NTech for short, felt a profound sense of fulfillment mixed with the responsibility that lay ahead. He turned to Lyra, her words echoing the significance of what they had begun here. "It's a beacon indeed, not just of survival but of solidarity and renewal. This is the legacy we aim to build." Each individual brought not just tools and resources, but hopes and dreams for a shared future. Harper, chuckling softly as he coordinated the setup of agricultural modules, shouted over to his crewmates, "Hey, we might even start a school for this. From starfighters to star farmers, huh?" His lightheartedness brought smiles in the midst of hard labor, lightening the load as they laid down the first stones of their new foundation. Joe, alongside a team of ecologists from various planets, meticulously analyzed soil samples and growth rates of the planet's flora. "This will be the first of many biomes we'll reintroduce here. Each one will be a step towards a balanced ecosystem," she explained, her display filled with data and projections that promised a green, vibrant planet. As more ships arrived, spilling forth families and pioneers eager to participate in New Earth's renaissance, the air filled laughter. Lyra, standing beside Orion, watched this unfold, her expression one of awe and admiration. "Orion, you and your crew have done more than survive. You've inspired a galaxy." Orion, looking out over the burgeoning community, felt the weight and wonder of their new beginning. "Together," he said, turning to address those gathered, "we build a home not just for us, but as a beacon for all. Here, on Earth, we sow the seeds of peace and watch them grow into a legacy of unity." The collective cheer that rose up carried with it the promise of endless possibilities. Orion's affirmation of commitment resonated with everyone present, creating a palpable sense of purpose among the groups. "This is just the beginning. Together, we'll build a world that honors those we've lost and protects the generations to come," he declared, his voice reflecting both the determination and the optimism that characterized this new phase of history. As time passed, New Earth transformed under the diligent care of its inhabitants, both those born to it and those who had come to call it home. The new cities that emerged were not the steel and concrete jungles of the past megacities, but were designed as seamless integrations into the environments, exemplifying a commitment to sustainability and coexistence. Rin, now pivotal in the establishment of a new global council, worked tirelessly. "We've been given a chance to rewrite the story of humanity. Let's write one that future generations will be proud to read," she urged during one of the council's meetings, her voice carrying the weight of their new responsibilities. Her leadership helped to forge a governance model that was inclusive and adaptive, reflecting the diverse perspectives of all Earth's residents. The council's initiatives ranged from ecological restoration projects that revitalized barren landscapes to technological innovations that provided sustainable energy solutions. Education systems were reformed to not only impart knowledge, but to foster a sense of global stewardship among the young. As their new Earth continued to grow, it became a beacon of hope and a symbol of what could be achieved. The planet now stood as a shining example of peace and renewal, a testament to the power of unity and the enduring spirit of cooperation that Rin and her colleagues had nurtured. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over Earth, Orion and his team gathered to witness the transformation. New Earth pulsed with life, its rhythm steady and promising, affirming the crew's belief that the darkness of yesteryears would be forever eclipsed by the brightness of tomorrow. There was also a poignant moment when war hero Maya Rodriguez found her way home to the planet. With great fanfare, she was warmly welcomed home. In the ensuing calm, a profound peace enveloped the crew. They all had come home as heroes, yet it was their enduring legacy of hope, collaboration, and renewal that would truly define their place in history. From the remnants of a shattered world, they had cultivated a flourishing one, a vivid illustration of humanity's potential when it dares to reach beyond familiar horizons, toward the stars, and then back to its roots. However, unbeknownst to them, in the distant reaches of space, a spark ignited within the dormant circuits of an ancient mechanoid hive mind, more akin to cosmic horror than a race of simple robots. Stirred from its enforced slumber by the shifts in the cosmic web, it began to awaken. This rekindling posed a silent but unmistakable threat, hinting at challenges yet to come, and ensuring that the peace so hard won might yet need defending. In the silent vacuum of space where the stars themselves whispered ancient secrets, a shadow darker than the void itself crept across the cosmos. It was an entity, a force, that devoured light and life with equal indifference, leaving behind only the cold echo of civilizations that once thrived in vibrant cacophony. This was the horror that began to seep into the collective consciousness of the galaxy's myriad inhabitants, an unstoppable tide washing over worlds with a hunger insatiable. They were the Mechron, once in a deep sleep, but now fully awake, with one goal in mind: wiping out every civilization they could find. At the heart of this brewing storm stood Earth, a planet of green and blue, teeming with life, unassuming in its corner of the galaxy. It was here, in a room washed in the sterile light of monitors and the hum of electronic vigilance, that General Alistair Irons received the briefing that would alter the course of human history. "General," started the aide, her voice a mix of urgency and trepidation. "Reports are coming in from the outer colonies, entire systems wiped out. No survivors." Her words hung heavy, a dreadful symphony to the imagery of desolation flashing across the screens. Irons, a figure carved from the very stone of duty and resolve, let his gaze linger on the images of ruin. His mind raced, not with fear, but with the cold, calculating precision of a seasoned strategist. "And our alien allies?" he inquired, his voice betraying none of the storm that brewed within. "They're just as in the dark as we are about their abilities, sir. It's like nothing we've faced before." The aide's eyes were a mirror to the chaos unfurling across the galaxy. A moment passed, a brief respite in the onslaught of grim tidings, before Irons turned to the assembly of military leaders and scientists gathered in the war room. "Then we must prepare," he declared, his voice a beacon of unwavering determination. "Earth must not fall as others have. We will stand our ground." The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, each member of the assembly throwing in their lot, ideas and strategies weaving together in a tapestry of defiance. Amidst the fervor, Irons remained the eye of the storm, his mind already at work, plotting, planning. As the meeting drew to a close, Irons found himself standing before the panoramic view of Earth provided by the war room's grand windows. Beside him, Dr. Alara Vance, the mind behind many of Earth's most advanced technologies, watched the world turn below. "General, if I may," Vance began, her tone measured. "Our technology may not be on par with some of our allies, but what we lack in power, we make up for in ingenuity. There's a way through this, I'm sure of it." Irons turned to her, a slight smile breaking through the stoic facade. "That's exactly why humanity has always prevailed, Dr. Vance. Ingenuity, resolve, and an uncanny knack for surviving the unsurvivable. His gaze returned to the earth below, a silent vow hanging unspoken between them. With the gravity of their situation sinking in, General Alistair Irons took upon the monumental task of rallying Earth's defense. It was not just a matter of marshaling forces, it was about knitting together a patchwork of humanity's brightest and bravest, a veritable shield against the encroaching darkness. Among these luminaries stood Dr. Elora Vance and Captain Leo Maddox, each a titan in their own right, brought together by the impending storm. Vance, with her intellect as boundless as the cosmos, was already deep in conversation with Irons as they approached the hangar where the Resurgence sat, a testament to human engineering and resolve. "If we're to stand any chance, we need to push the limits of what we believe is possible," she was saying, her eyes alight with the fierce joy of challenge. Maddox, on the other hand, was inspecting the Resurgence, his command. His presence commanded respect, not just for his prowess as a pilot, but for his uncanny ability to rally his crew against insurmountable odds. "She'll hold," he assured Irons with a grin as they approached, "and then some. We'll give them a run for their money." The task of uniting Earth's defenses was daunting, yet Irons' resolve served as a beacon, drawing in not just Earth's finest, but skeptical eyes from across the stars. Alien representatives, wary of humanity's untested mettle, stood shoulder to shoulder with Irons and his team, their doubts hanging in the air like the charged silence before a storm. "It's not just about what we bring to the fight," Irons addressed the assembly, his voice a steady tide against the swell of uncertainty. "It's about how we stand together, united not just in our fight for survival, but in our resolve to prevail. We are humanity, and in our unity, we find our strength." The room, filled with beings from across the galaxy, fell into a contemplative hush. Vance stepped forward, her gaze sweeping over the gathered assembly. "We've made leaps and bounds in technology, but it's our ingenuity, our ability to think outside the confines of what's known, that will turn the tide. Together, we'll craft a strategy that leverages our strengths." Maddox added, the light of battle already kindling in his eyes. "And we'll be the tip of the spear. The Resurgence and her crew are ready to lead the charge. We'll set the example, show them what we're made of." The skepticism that once clouded the eyes of their alien counterparts began to dissipate, replaced by a burgeoning respect for the tenacity and spirit of humanity. Irons' words, Vance's conviction, and Maddox's unwavering confidence wove together a tapestry of unity, a shared determination to face the darkness not as disparate forces, but as a single, indomitable entity. As the meeting disbanded, plans set into motion, Irons, Vance, and Maddox stood together, a momentary calm amidst the brewing storm. "They'll come to see," Irons mused, watching the retreating figures of their new allies. "Humanity isn't just fighting for survival, we're fighting for the future, and in that future there's no force in the universe that can stand against us united." The edge of an alien solar system became the unlikely stage for humanity's confrontation with the mechanized adversary. Here, in the cold expanse where the sun's warmth was but a distant caress, the Resurgence and her fleet, a coalition of human and alien vessels, stood watch. The mood was one of tense anticipation, a collective breath held before the plunge into the unknown. Sergeant Maya Torres, a figure of resolute determination, oversaw the preparations of her Special Forces unit aboard one of the smaller, more maneuverable human ships. Her reputation as a master of unconventional warfare was well earned, and her team was a reflection of her adaptability and ingenuity. "We're smaller, we're quicker, and we're smarter. Let's use that." As if on cue, the void ripped open, disgorging the enemy in a flood of darkness and malice. Their ships, vast and seemingly impervious, advanced with a chilling, methodical precision. The alien allies, seasoned warriors in their own right, watched in grim silence, their doubts about humanity's place in this battle lingering like specters. The first volleys were exchanged in a blaze of light and fury, the vastness of space alight with the fires of combat. Human and alien technologies clashed against the invaders' superior might, a testament to the resilience and courage of the assembled fleet. It was Torres who turned the tide. With a nod from Irons, she executed a daring maneuver, her ship darting forth like a spear into the heart of the storm. Her team boarded an enemy vessel, a feat thought impossible by their allies. The corridors of the enemy ship became a labyrinth of chrome and danger, yet Torres and her team moved with the precision of ghosts, their actions guided by a singular purpose. The mission was twofold: sabotage and intelligence gathering. The data they collected, even as they sowed chaos within the enemy ranks, was invaluable, offering a glimpse into the invaders' technology and potentially their weaknesses. The cost was high. Each member of Torres's team knew the risks, yet they pressed on, driven by a fierce determination to protect their home, their loved ones, and the very fabric of their reality from the encroaching darkness. Back on the Resurgence, Maddox and Vance coordinated the fleet's movements with a balletic precision, each maneuver a counterpoint to the enemy's advances. The information relayed by Torres opened new avenues of attack, exploiting momentary weaknesses that the human-alien coalition pressed with desperate fervor. As the skirmish reached its crescendo, a critical hit to the enemy's flagship, thanks to the intelligence gathered by Torres, disabled the Mecron ship, a ripple of disbelief and shock running through both the human-led fleet and the enemy alike. In the aftermath, the coalition breathed a collective sigh of relief, though it was tempered by the knowledge of the cost. Torres and her surviving team were hailed as heroes, their bravery a beacon of hope in the face of an overwhelming adversary. Maddox clapped a hand on Torres's shoulder as they surveyed the damage to their fleet, a mutual respect evident in their gaze. "That was one hell of a play, Torres," he said, his voice carrying the weight of the battle just fought. Torres, her face marked by the soot of battle and the somber weight of loss, nodded. "We did what we had to do, Captain. We'll do it again when the time comes. For Earth. For humanity." The victory, though costly, served as a stark reminder of humanity's tenacity and willingness to face the Chrome menace with courage and resolve. It was a message, loud and clear, to the invaders and to the galaxy at large: underestimate humanity at your peril. In the aftermath of their first victorious but Pyrrhic engagement with the enemy, the atmosphere among the crew of the Resurgence was one of cautious optimism, tinged with the sharp edge of loss. It was within this crucible of mixed emotions that Lieutenant Hikaru Sato found herself wrestling with the key to unlocking the enemy's intentions: a complex, encrypted transmission intercepted during the skirmish. Sequestered in her dimly lit quarters, surrounded by screens aglow with cryptic symbols and data streams, Sato worked with a relentless determination. The transmission was unlike anything she had encountered before, its structure defying every known cryptographic method. Yet, in this challenge, Sato saw not an insurmountable wall, but a puzzle begging to be solved. As hours melded into days, her efforts began to bear fruit. Piece by piece, the encryption yielded, revealing its secrets in whispers and shadows. "Got you," she breathed, a triumphant smile breaking through the concentration etched on her face. The decrypted message outlined the enemy's upcoming maneuvers, a tapestry of invasion, reinforcements, and conquest that chilled the blood. Without delay, Sato brought her findings to Irons, Vance, and Maddox, the core of the Resurgence's leadership. Gathered around a holographic display, they absorbed the gravity of the intelligence she had unearthed. "This isn't just a map of their movements," Irons mused, his eyes tracing the arcs and lines of projected trajectories. "It's a window into their strategy." The Mecron, in their all-so-devastating efficiency, had one weakness: their hive mind, one controller leading millions of Mecron, and we just decrypted their transmission protocols. Vance leaned in, her mind already racing with the implications. "And an opportunity for us," she added. "If we know where they're going to strike, we can prepare. A countermeasure, perhaps something that can exploit this insight." The gears of innovation and strategy began to turn, fueled by the spark of Sato's breakthrough. Together they brainstormed, a synergy of military acumen and scientific genius weaving the fabric of a new plan. It was Vance who proposed the daring idea: a weapon that could disrupt the enemy's coordination, throwing their meticulously planned maneuvers into chaos. "Based on the tech we recovered and Sato's decrypted data, I think we can engineer a device that targets their communication networks, creating a window for us to strike." Maddox, ever the tactician, saw the potential for a decisive blow. "If we can disorient them, even for a moment, that's all the opening we'll need. Torres and her team could wreak havoc in their ranks." The plan was audacious. teetering on the brink of the impossible, which made it quintessentially human. Sato's role was pivotal, her decryption not just a technical triumph, but a beacon of hope, illuminating a path forward against the darkness. As they set to work, transforming theory into tangible action, the bond between them was palpable. Here, in the heart of the resurgence, humanity's indomitable spirit was on full display, a testament to their resourcefulness and adaptability. Sato, watching the flurry of activity her discovery had sparked, felt a surge of pride. "We're not just fighting back," she said, more to herself than anyone else. "We're outsmarting them." As the enemy's shadow lengthened across the stars, Earth's defenders, under the command of Captain Leo Maddox and Sergeant Maya Torres, embraced the darkness to become specters against their adversaries. The vast void of space, once a realm of exploration and wonder, had transformed into an arena of guerrilla warfare, where the cunning and bravery of humanity's soldiers were tested against an implacable foe. Maddox, piloting the resurgence with a deft hand that seemed to blur the lines between man and machine, led his fleet in a series of hit-and-run attacks that confounded the enemy. Each strike was meticulously planned, the element of surprise their greatest weapon. "Remember, folks," Maddox would say, his voice crackling over the comms, "we're the ghosts haunting their nightmares, in and out before they know what hit 'em." Torres, meanwhile, led her team on daring boarding missions, each a masterclass in precision and audacity. The corridors of enemy ships became their stage, a deadly dance of shadow and flame. Torres moved with a grace born of fierce determination, her team a seamless extension of her will. In one breathless moment, they would materialize from the void, plant their charges, and vanish, leaving chaos in their wake. The impact of these raids was palpable, a series of stinging blows that, while not fatal, served to disrupt the enemy's advance and sow seeds of doubt. In the dim light of the Resurgence's briefing room, Maddox and Torres, alongside their crew, reviewed the outcomes of their latest operations. The holographic displays painted a vivid picture of their achievements, yet the shadow of loss hung heavy in the air. "It's a war of attrition we're playing," Maddox observed, his gaze meeting each of his crew in turn. "Every victory costs us, but we're making them bleed, forcing them to second-guess their every move." Torres, her expression a mask of resolve tempered with the weight of command, added, "We keep hitting them, keep them off balance. It's more than just buying time. It's showing them we won't roll over. Not now, not ever." The camaraderie among the crew, forged in the crucible of conflict, was a light against the encroaching darkness. Their banter, though tinged with the gravity of their situation, was a testament to their unyielding spirit. "Just give me 5 minutes on their flagship," one of Torres's team joked. "I'll redecorate it with a new airlock or two." Maddox smiled, the burden of command momentarily lifted. "Let's keep them guessing then. We've got the guts and the guile. Let's make sure they remember who they're messing with." The tide of war, ever fickle, began to shift in a way few had dared hope. In the heart of the Resurgence's research labs, Dr. Alara Vance, surrounded by a Malic whirl of data and alien artifacts, had achieved what many considered impossible. With a triumphant gleam in her eye, she presented her findings to General Alistair Irons and the rest of the leadership team. "We've managed to reverse engineer their technology," she announced, her voice a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. "Not only can we defend against them more effectively, but we can also turn their own weapons against them." Irons, whose strategic mind had been grappling with the relentless advance of the enemy, regarded Vance's breakthrough as the long-awaited break in the clouds. "Show me," he said, his tone carrying the weight of countless decisions made in the shadow of uncertainty. Vance led them through the intricacies of her work. A weapon system designed to disrupt the enemy's energy shields, leaving them vulnerable to conventional attacks. The science behind it was complex, a dance of physics and alien engineering, but its elegance was in its simplicity. "Brilliant," Irons murmured, already considering the implications. "Prepare for deployment. We'll need every ship equipped with this system. It's time to take the fight to them." The subsequent days were a blur of activity. Ships were refitted, strategies revised, and crews briefed on the new weapon. Maddox, charged with leading the counterattack, radiated a confidence that was infectious. "Looks like we've got a new trick up our sleeve," he quipped to his crew, their spirits buoyed by the prospect of turning the tables on their seemingly invincible foe. Torres, ever the pragmatist, drilled her team on the revised tactics that would accompany the use of the new weapon. "We hit them hard and fast," she instructed, her demeanor all business. "Disrupt, engage, disengage. No heroics. We're in this to win, not to make martyrs." The first engagement using Vance's weapon was a revelation. As the Resurgence and its fleet engaged the enemy, the moment of truth arrived. The weapon activated, a pulse of energy that rippled through space and struck the enemy's vanguard. Shields flickered and died, and for the first time, the invaders' ships were laid bare to human aggression. The battle was fierce, but the tide had indeed turned. Maddox's tactics, a blend of precision strikes and evasive maneuvers, capitalized on the enemy's newfound vulnerability. Irons, overseeing the operation from the Resurgence's command center, allowed himself a rare smile as reports of success flooded in. In the aftermath, the victory was not just in the physical reclaiming of space or the destruction of enemy ships, it was in the symbolic defiance of a species that refused to be extinguished. "We've shown them," Irons said, addressing his crew and the Allied forces. "We've shown them that humanity will not go quietly. This is but the first step. We will take back our galaxy, inch by inch if we must." Vance, witnessing the fruits of her labor and the collective effort of the fleet, felt a surge of pride. "This is what happens when you underestimate humans," she mused, sharing a look of camaraderie with Irons and Maddox. "We adapt, we overcome, and we fight back." Later on in the swirling maelstrom of war, the Galerix cluster emerged as the arena for a pivotal showdown. This collection of stars, planets, and nebulae was more than just a celestial landmark. It was a lifeline for the Allied civilizations, rich in resources and strategic positions. General Alistair Irons, understanding the cluster's significance, marshaled his forces for what would be either a monumental victory or a devastating defeat. The Resurgence, bearing the scars and honors of battles past, floated at the heart of the assembled fleet. Irons, alongside Vance, Maddox, and Torres, pored over the holographic maps and intelligence reports that painted a daunting picture of the task ahead. "We strike here," Irons declared, his finger pinpointing a seemingly innocuous sector of the cluster. "It's the least defended, but it offers us a way in. Their arrogance will be their undoing." Vance chimed in, her eyes alight with the thrill of challenge. "The new weapons have been integrated into the fleet. They won't know what hit them until it's too late." Her confidence was a testament to the strides humanity had made in harnessing the enemy's technology against them. Maddox, ever the tactician, nodded in agreement. "Speed and stealth," he mused. "Hit them hard before they can regroup. It's bold, risky. I like it." Torres, who had been quietly assessing the plan, added her perspective. "My team's ready for some up-close and personal work. We'll make sure their command never knows what hit them." The camaraderie and mutual respect among them were palpable, each leader embodying the best of humanity's resilience and ingenuity. As the fleet moved into position, the void of space around the Galerix cluster became a tense prelude to the impending storm. Irons's strategy hinged on surprise and precision, leveraging the newfound weaknesses in the enemy's defenses. The Allied fleet, a mix of human and alien vessels, moved with a cohesion that belied the diversity of its composition. The initial engagement was a masterclass in tactical warfare. Maddox led the vanguard, the Resurgence cutting through the enemy's outer defenses like a knife through the void. The shock of the attack, bolstered by the effectiveness of Vance's weapons, sowed chaos among the invaders. Torres and her team, aboard a nimble corvette, exploited the confusion, boarding key enemy platforms and disabling them from within. Their actions, swift and deadly, underscored the valor and skill of Earth's soldiers. As the battle raged, the Galerix cluster became a testament to human determination. Each skirmish, each maneuver, was a step towards reclaiming not just the cluster, but hope itself. In the thick of the conflict, Irons remained a steady presence, directing the fleet with calm precision. "Hold the line," he commanded, his voice a beacon amidst the cacophony of battle. "This is our moment." The siege of Galerix, as it would come to be known, was not just a battle. It was a declaration. Under Irons's command, the Allied fleet pushed forward, exploiting every advantage, every moment of surprise, to its fullest. As the tide of battle turned in their favor, a sense of awe spread among the Allied ranks. They were witnessing the impossible made possible, the culmination of human ingenuity, bravery, and the indomitable will to survive. The enemy, reeling from the onslaught, began to falter, their invincible facade crumbling under the relentless assault of the human-led alliance. In the aftermath, as the dust of combat settled and the stars of the Galerix cluster shone once more, Irons and his leaders surveyed the field. They had achieved the unthinkable, a decisive victory against the Mecron menace. "We did it," Maddox said, his voice thick with emotion, "against all odds." Vance, looking out at the battered but triumphant fleet, added, "This is more than a victory. It's a turning point." And Torres, her armor scorched and dented, offered a weary but triumphant smile. "Let's see them try to underestimate us now." Together they stood on the brink of a new dawn, the siege of Galerix not just a battle won, but a symbol of hope for the galaxy. Irons, gazing into the vastness of space, knew this was but one chapter in a larger saga. But it was a chapter where humanity had not merely survived, they had prevailed. If you've stuck with me up to this point, a heartfelt thank you. I'd also like to take a moment to remind you that my entire channel is dedicated to the Triverse and its enthralling Mecron mechanoid saga. While many of the stories stand alone, allowing you to dive in at any point, crafting these narratives takes about 4 or 5 days each, so your patience is greatly appreciated. If you find yourself enjoying what you see, consider exploring more of my videos. Each one, in its own unique way, weaves together more of the overarching story I'm telling.